Ferrari revealed 2023 car, and it's incredible and maybe illegal. Thanks to Ferrari's efforts, an F1 launch season that began with pretend 2023 cars, livery-only reveals, renders and teases has truly come to life this week, with a Scuderia holding its first full-fledged live launch event rather than a simple online stream since 2020, and doing so with pzazz. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive right into what we saw from their car launch, why both of their drivers are so confident this season, and why the FIA may want to have a word with them about some of their bold design choices. Ferrari's demonstration is great for the sport. The demonstration in Fiorano was not only open to the media. The tifosi were also present with their own grandstand. And the car wasn't just on display, it was fired up and shakedown run in front of a live audience under the 15-kilometer demonstration run regulations. Its drivers were also not hanging about. I think it was amazing, and I'm going to allow myself to give praise to the team for what they could organize, said Carlos Sainz. Formula One needs these kind of events, where you can bring all the media and fans and partners and engineers and mechanics all together and do a proper presentation with the car running without too much privacy. We were brave as a team to do it. It's the first ever installation lap we did with that car. It can always go bad. We took the risk, and I hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely did. The contrast with 2022 title rival Red Bull's expansive but cautious launch of what really mattered was stark. Whereas Red Bull revealed an RB19 that looked like an RB18, then Christian Horner admitted that it wasn't a complete representation of what will hit the track, and then released only hazy distant clips from its shakedown, Ferrari proudly splayed itself in front of a global and in-person audience. There are different ways to hold a car launch, either well or badly. And to do it well, a physical event is not actually necessary. However, it does enhance the spectacle, and Ferrari's launch was an excellent example of how to pull off such an event. Sainz is right to call what Ferrari did brave. Gremlins can strike quickly during a shakedown. So, holding an installation lap in front of the world was not only a show of confidence in its processes, but also a great gesture. Ferrari could have been conservative and performed a small demonstration in private to ensure that everything was in order before proceeding with the demo. Instead, it combined two exciting elements, the car reveal and the car's first appearance on track, to give fans a surprising but exciting double dose. As Sainz pointed out, this isn't just good for Ferrari, it's also good for F1. Both drivers impressed with progress. But it wasn't just the nature of the reveal that impressed their drivers. They both believe there have been some encouraging signs. The Scuderia had a long list of issues to work out over the winter following a 2022 season in which it started with the fastest car but finished a distant second behind runaway championship winner Red Bull. And while some of the issues were due to team or driver errors, Ferrari is hoping that its FS23 design will address car-related problems such as reliability and tire degradation issues that cost it multiple race victories last year. Speaking after his first 2 laps with the car at the launch event, Leclerc tentatively said he felt things had moved in the right direction. "It feels good. It feels a little bit different," Leclerc said. But to be honest, it's difficult, especially on track now, to really feel the differences because it's only 2 laps. I wasn't pushing that much. I tried to, but obviously we've also turned the engine down, so it's difficult to get a proper feeling. But from the work we've done, I think we're going in the right direction. We took a lot of the 2022 car's weaknesses and tried to work on them, especially on the simulator. We've had some really positive signs. But we still need to wait until the test in Bahrain, when we'll push the car for consecutive laps to see whether this progress is also valid in reality. Ferrari's 2023 car boasts some impressive design elements. When you look at the facilities Ferrari has at Fiorano, including the test track, it's difficult to imagine how it could ever be beaten. Nevertheless, the new SF23 from Ferrari follows the same overall aerodynamic template as the 2022 Formula One car, but with some key differences. Starting with the front wing, the outwash capabilities have been improved over last year, thanks to a completely different profile of the last flap, which abruptly tapers down towards the end plate. plates. Furthermore, the presence of 5 vortex generators or diverters connected between 2 of the flaps was intriguing, similar to the solution brought to last season's US Grand Prix by Mercedes and then deemed illegal by the stewards. The geometry of the vanes had to be within the regulations, or Mercedes would not have tried it, so the officials' decision would have been based on the intent and purpose of the vanes. As well as complying with the regulations, there's always the question of what's called primary purpose. So, if something on the car is legal and ostensibly for one reason, in this case maintaining the slot gap, but the FIA believes it's for another, for example aerodynamic gain, you could get into trouble. Aside from that, the nose tip is now connected to the second element rather than the main profile of the wing in a similar fashion to Red Bull. The front suspension is still a pushrod setup, but the steering rod is now placed at the same level as the lower wishbone to improve aero cleanliness in this area. The side pods reveal many subtle changes that highlight how the radiator packaging has changed inside. There are multiple sets of cooling cutouts on the side pod's sculpted top profile, as well as an additional hot air vent vertically placed at the side of the cockpit. The side profile is tapering inward, indicating that the components inside the car are now taking up less volume. Other unusual features of the car include additional winglets on top of the engine cover and channels on either side of the cockpit. The floor has also been completely redone. To begin with, the leading edge of the floor is now on a single plane, rather than the 2 different planes used last season, beginning with the French Grand Prix. The raised side edge of the floor also now has a series of profiles that direct airflow towards the inner section, preventing air spillage through the car's undercarriage. FIA changes could make new front wing legal. But let's get back to the new front wing design for a moment, as it highlights what could be a major talking point heading into the early season. As previously stated, Mercedes used a similar design during practice at the Mexican Grand Prix, but did not commit to qualifying for the race in order to avoid potential protests. It was later banned for violating the spirit of the regulations because it could be used for aerodynamic purposes, negating the effect of the 2022 cars, which are designed to generate closer racing. Originally, the FIA stated in the technical regulations that slot gap generators could only be used primarily for mechanical, structural, or measurement purposes. Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott initially argued that the use of the word primarily when referring to the design was inconsistent with the rest of the regulations. Later, in the technical regulations published in early December, the word primarily was removed to state that they must only demonstrate a structural connection between consecutive front wing profiles. This means the teams can now run front wing designs with the slot gap generators that influence aerodynamics as long as they meet the strict measurement requirements. Elliott admitted that such a design on the front wing could result in marginal aerodynamic benefits. He explained, "Clearly there's a secondary benefit of an aerodynamic design that's in there as well. It's actually not worth a huge amount. The detail looks interesting, but it's not the big thing on the front wing." Could we see a return to the Mercedes car concept now the regulations have been changed and Ferrari appears to be taking advantage? It's certainly a possibility. Frederick Vasseur highlights key area of focus for the 2023 season. Ferrari may not have delivered on their promises in 2022, but based on what we've seen from the car at launch, as well as the team's overall demeanor, things are looking up for the Tifosi. And that sentiment is shared by Frederick Vasseur, who, speaking at his first Ferrari function as team principal, knows exactly where he wants the team to focus. "I see the priority for everybody is reliability, because that's where you are at this stage of the season. If you don't have the reliability, then you're not able to do these 3 days of pre-season testing in Bahrain, and then you start on the wrong foot. We've done the mileage we needed to do on the dyno, and we're all optimistic. But only when we are in Bahrain will tell us where we are in terms of engine performance. So far, it is okay. The vision that you have for the team when you are outside of the team is always a bit different. It has been a very short notice for me to join Ferrari, and I've spent the past weeks trying to understand exactly what's happening in the team and what happened last year." What are your thoughts on the new Ferrari car? Will it be able to compete with the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes? Will the team thrive and solve their problems under new leadership? Please let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider Consider liking it and subscribing. Be sure to click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.